To the Empire and to the world, our greetings. For the past 5 years now, we have given a yearly address on Christmas. This year, we would like to give our address in a somewhat different way, and quote some extracts from a book entitled Meditations for Advent, a work by an Orthodox priest, Vassilios Papavassiliou. These extracts are from the final chapter, entitled The Light Shines in the Darkness. And yet, in the middle of our joyful celebration of light, only a few days after the angelic proclamation on earth peace, goodwill toward men, the Church compels us to come face to face with a terrible darkness. We are confronted with an event surrounding the Nativity that many would prefer to ignore, an event that is far from bright and joyful, an act that is without doubt the most evil act imaginable, infanticide. King Herod, having been convinced of the biblical prophecies concerning the birth of the Messiah in the Old Testament, feared for his rule. Like many of the Jewish people of his day, he wrongly believed the promised king of the Jews would be an earthly ruler. He hoped to extinguish the threat he perceived to his reign, but did not know exactly where to find the newborn king. The book then quotes Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 to 18. Many think of Christmas as something sweet and sentimental, but this grim event in the midst of the Nativity narrative reminds us that there is nothing sentimental about it. Instead, we are shown the harsh reality of evil, of the kind of violent world that Christ enters as a newborn baby. In becoming one of us, in taking on human existence in everything but sin, he subjects himself to human tragedy, to suffering and death. Already, from the moment of his birth, we see Christ offering himself to the reality of our own pain and mortality, with no power, no authority, no means of defence. Yet in spite of this, the light of the world was not extinguished by the darkness. What do we see? A poor, defenceless family up against an army of trained soldiers, against a tyrannical, seemingly unstoppable empire of violence, wealth and power. And yet it is the defenceless family that is victorious. The light shines in the darkness, John 1:5, and the Church does not allow us to ignore the darkness. Yet we should not fear it more than we love and trust the light. No matter how much evil seems to get the upper hand, however hopeless things may seem, we must never lose faith, we must never cease to trust in God. For however great the darkness, the light will always overcome it, no matter how weak the light may appear to be. The Feast of the Nativity is a celebration of a divine weakness overpowering human strength, of good conquering evil, of the light of divine knowledge dispelling the darkness of ignorance. This is not just a cause for an annual celebration, but is the strength of our Christian faith, and the joy of the divine light which the darkness of evil can never extinguish. The Incarnation is not just for Christmas, it's for life. Christmas comes and goes, but the light of the Nativity shines forever. This chapter, reflecting as it does on the contrast between our common sentimental views of the Nativity and the massacre of the innocents that was struck a chord with us when we consider the world around us today. How many of us today will be in our homes, celebrating with family, food, and friendship, whereas in many places around the world, there are children right now being massacred, innocents being killed. We think especially of the situation in Yemen, where UNICEF is working hard to allay the suffering and bring peace to that land. The Order of St. Constantine, an Australasian philanthropic order, is currently fundraising for UNICEF. A link to the specific fundraiser on Facebook shall be made available in the description to this video below. But we urge all of you to support UNICEF, however you can, this Christmas time. May we, in whatever small way we can, reflect and become that light that shines in the darkness this Christmas time. We wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.